Next, we need to install the brackets for our CPU cooler. So the first thing to do is to remove the stock clips. They're each held on with 2 screws. Then with our AIO, we've got these little clips, so they simply just slot over the back plate. And you'll notice there's an arrow on it with the CPU pointing towards the middle, so make sure you install it the correct way round. And then we've got one for the bottom as well. And then we're going to use the original 4 screws to secure that into place. We're now ready to start work on the AIO, so we can set the fans onto the radiator. Now importantly, this is going to be the back, so make sure you have the cables coming out the back. And then we're going to use 8 of these long radiator screws to secure the fans to the radiator. Coming from each of our fans, we've got a 4-pin PWM connector, and ASUS include this double splitter cable which we need to plug these into. There we go, and that then leaves us just one 4-pin PWM connector to plug into our CPU fan header. Also coming from each of the fans, we've got a 3-pin 5V ARGB connector, and ASUS include this 4-to-1 ARGB cable. So we can go ahead and plug each of the fans into this cable. There we go. This is then either going to go into an ARGB header on our motherboard, but for us I'm probably just going to plug it into the case's controller to have it controlling all the lighting. We've also got 2 spare ARGB ports should we have additional devices in the case that we want to plug into it. Coming from our pump, we've got 2 cables. One is a USB cable, and we're going to plug that into USB 2.0 header on our motherboard, and the other is a 4-pin PWM connector which we're going to plug into our pump header on the motherboard. So I'm just going to pass all our AIO cables through the cutout to the back, and then line the AIO up at the top of the case. And then we're going to secure it into place at the top with 8 of the shorter radiator screws. And then we can replace the top dust filter. We're now ready to install our AIO, so we can go ahead and remove the plastic protection, and you'll notice that we've got thermal paste pre-applied. So it's just a matter of lining the AIO up with the bracket beneath, and then we're going to use 4 of the thumb screws with the little ring in the middle of them. Then I'm just going to route the cables coming from the AIO up to the top of the case and out to the back. And then we're going to be able to remove the plastic protection from the AIO. Then we're going to need to plug the AIO into the CPU fan. So the one over to the left is the CPU fan header, the one to the right is the CPU pump header. So we'll bring the double splitter cable coming from the fans on the radiator through, line it up with the header and push into place. Then we'll bring the 4-pin PWM cable coming from the pump through, line it up with the header and push into place, and then again pull the excess cable through to the back. We've got another USB 2.0 header down at the bottom, so we'll bring the USB cable coming from our pump through the cutout, line it up with the header and push into place, and then pull the excess cable through to the back. At the back of the case we need to plug in our ARGB header coming from the fans on the radiator, and as I mentioned you could plug this into the motherboard if you want, but I want all the ARGB to sync up, so we've got an extra splitter cable here and I'm just going to plug it into here.